joined this morning by the former editor of the Daily Star, Dawn Neeson, the political editor of The Sun on Sunday, David Wooding. And if you were watching last hour, Dawn was teasing us all with all the juicy details in the Jerry Hall and Rupert Murdoch divorce. It's in a lot of the papers this morning.
Well, is it a divorce?
Well, exactly. Fill us in.
It is, I'm afraid. It's not Romeo and Juliet here. I don't think there's going to be a happy ending. Obviously, as the front page of the Daily Mail, mystery as Jerry withdraws LA divorce papers. And you think, oh, I wonder what's going on there. So it's done its job. Basically, she filed for divorce in California, but only after being presented with an email from Rupert Murdoch saying, that's it, it's over, I want a divorce. So she filed in Los Angeles Superior Court to say, okay, I want a divorce, and that's 50-50 in that state. Now, that was quite an aggressive action on her behalf. She filed divorce papers as he was getting on a jet. She hired a former Met Police anti-terrorism officer to serve the papers to him. And I think Murdoch has been taken by surprise by how fiercely Jerry has responded to him saying, I want a divorce, by email. I mean, who does that, by the way? So what she's done now, she's gone back to the Los Angeles court and said, okay, I'm withdrawing the divorce papers, but for now, it doesn't need to be forever, but she's done it for now. And what is going on behind the scenes is that I think Rupert Murdoch and his lawyers have thought, right, okay, she is actually not going to take this lying down, so we will actually now settle. So I think what they've both done, I know, I want it to be sort of like, oh my God, they've rediscovered their passion for one another. But I think the aggression with which she responded to his dismissive email means that legal experts have advised both of them to settle a divorce and not go to court because it would get messy. And especially seeing as it was in Los Angeles, where it's a 50-50 split on property and everything else like that.
So he had a lot to lose.
He had a lot.
She's played a blinder, frankly.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think because let's face it, Isabel. I mean, getting an email saying, right, that's it, our marriage is over. I mean, it's not exactly
what's gone on there, but interesting twist.
So, David, this is a very, very sad story you're going to in the Daily Mail. And for the first time, we see a picture of little Sahara Salman, the little girl, 4 years of age, killed in the house explosion in Thornton Heath in South London. And I mean, when you look at it, there's just nothing left of that house. I mean, what an explosion that must have been.
It's a heartbreaking story, but it's also a deeply, deeply disturbing story because...
What a beautiful looking child.
Absolutely, yes. And the Daily Mail have got a bit of an interview with a mother who says, the world is so cruel. We've lost our daughter, who's our pride and joy, and any parent who looks at that picture this morning, as you rightly say, Eamonn, would be heartbroken and feel very, very sad for them. But when you hear the background to what happened, it makes you angry as well as sad, because the mother reported the smell of gas back in late July, and they sent somebody out to look at it, the Southern Gas Network, and they said there were no major issues. They could smell gas, but there were no major issues, but they would get a more senior person to come out and have a look. That more senior person didn't arrive. And then the explosion happened. She was in the box room of the house, so the mother's in another room with the two other children, and she can't. And when she goes into that room, the room has collapsed, and she's lost her little one. So of course, now they've gone and investigated it, and they've evacuated rows of houses. Several houses in the area have been evacuated. So there clearly is a major problem there with gas. And so not only was poor Sahara killed as a result of this, what could be negligence, other people's lives have been at risk too.
That's outrageous.
So it's, I'm sure there'll be more from this as the investigation goes on the way.
Just a week before her 5th birthday.
Shocking, yeah.
And it's like, a worker who investigated found loads of little gas leaks. Hello, do something about it.
That's really frightening. Oh, awful. Dawn, let's take a look at the situation with refugee hosts. This was such an amazing story when British people really stepped up to the plate, and when the government perhaps was a bit slow in issuing visas, British people threw open their doors with open arms, welcoming in Ukrainian refugees, and now it seems as though a quarter of those families don't want to continue it beyond the 6 months.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, we really did everything, and a lot of families are still sort of like, being in refuge in this country. However, I think that what this boils down to, it's not sort of like that the refugees are causing problems, it's the rising cost of living. is making families that have acted as hosts for refugees coming over here think that we can't afford to, you know, as we keep going on about the choice of heating and eating, especially coming in the winter, we can no longer carry on afford to be doing this. So, I mean, at the moment, if you are hosting a refugee family, you get £350 a month. But it's as you say, it's like 25% found that they don't want to do it anymore because it is just too expensive for them. This is from an Office for National Statistics study. And sort of like 38% say would continue hosting arrangements for longer than 6 months, but 23% would be happy to host refugees for more than a year. But they all say, literally all of them say, the money they receive for doing so is so important. They said it's down to financial issues rather than there being a problem with the actual refugees. And it is just sad that, you know, obviously we talk about the cost of living crisis so much at the moment, but it has ripples throughout everything that's going on in society, doesn't it? I mean, even affecting these poor families that are fleeing from the war in the Ukraine. And you forget about those side effects of what we're all going through at the moment.
And that government handout, the £350 a month, that's finishing next month.
Yes, and that's what that's what they're saying. Look, if this carries on, we would be willing to carry on helping. And a lot of families, obviously, when you have someone living well, unless you've got a mansion, Isabel, I mean, a lot of, you know, it's about more than just offering people a room. You are there offering emotional support, advice, so many
problems
things.
with languages,
Exactly.
and all of that.
Yeah.
It's been amazing what people have done. I can't blame them, can you?
Let's go to the Express, and this is about the debate last night on GBNEWS, the People's Forum, which had a chance to question Conservative leadership candidate Liz Truss, David.
Yes, it was more of a laid-back affair. I thought this was quite a good format. Alistair Stewart, your colleague, was really tough with Liz, and yes, it brought her out in a different light. Some of the viewers and the people in the Working Men's Club asking her questions. She talks about using British law to protect the Rwanda plan, and some of her staff were away from the cameras saying that Rishi Sunak has never cut tax in his life, which is so the gloves are still off a little bit. Interesting thing on this page that really grabbed my attention away from the debate was the picture of Rishi Sunak's shoe. There's a hole in the shoe. Now this is a multi-millionaire. He's worth £730 million, and he wears £490 Prada loafers, and everybody's telling us
a building site he wore there,
and everyone's telling us, you know, he's not one of us because he's got so much money. I wonder whether he's wearing these shoes just to deliberately showing them to the camera.
Or is he just working so hard, out on the beat, meeting people, going to hustings, you know.
Worn out his shoes.
Worn out his shoes.
Yeah.
Just on how much he's worth, actually he's worth more than the Queen. His personal wealth is more than the Queen. I think 700 and something.
Well,
yes.
it's not his personal.
It's his
wealth.
wife. It's his
Well,
wife.
it's not. Okay, sorry, I didn't know. You know, when you're married, it's usually your family wealth. And so Prince Philip benefited from Her Majesty's wealth as well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the hole in the shoe, do you buy it, Dawn?
No, I mean, look, I'm just getting sick of the whole thing. I just want him to get on with stuff now. I mean, I think Rishi is making on average 2.7 promises a day, and Liz 2.6 promises a day. And it's like, I mean, between them, it's like how many of those, whichever one wins, are actually going to be put into action?
And they've got an election about 2 years down the road.
Thanks.
So will they have anything left to promise?
Can't wait.
So we hear that despite the lovely weather, despite the lovely summer and whatever it is, people are really worried about it. They feel guilty about it.
Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it. Yeah.
Are you out on a sun lounger?
Yes.
Going for ice cream?
Yes.
Yeah.
Work gets in the way, but I've had opportunities over the past 3 weeks or so to enjoy things, and I think very, very pleasant. But I do think there is, Dawn, a guilt with people when you're not supposed to enjoy this because this is climate change and there are fires happening and things like that. So, I mean, you know, they're probably, you know, it's school holidays now. How many people will be heading off to the seaside?
Can we just actually have a bit of a nice time as well?
Yeah.
I mean, not every event happening in our lives at the moment is some sort of zombie apocalypse that's going to kill us all next week. Yes, there is a heat wave. Yes, there is a climate issue we need to think about and deal about. But also, it is the school summer holidays. Let little kids go and play on the beach and enjoy themselves. Stop terrorising, certainly the children, let them be kids. But this is a story, seamless link in the Daily Mirror today, page 3. And 26 degrees centigrade is too hot to handle. That's the temperature where we struggle to do basic everyday things. Any hotter than that and we're going, right, it's too hot, can't do it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about things like blow drying your hair, obviously never do that, and even wearing clothes. Now, 26 degrees isn't that hot. I'm going to keep my clothes on, especially if I'm going around Tesco's. You know, it's not a good look.
You know, if you've got a new build house, as soon as my kids are in the door, they're into their pants.
Yeah.
It's been like that for weeks and weeks now.
Yeah, but I mean, this is 2,000 people. This is a survey. 2,000 people. Driving, tidying up, and DIY featured 2 in the top 20 list of things to be avoided when the temperature goes above 26
It doesn't
degrees.
take much for me to avoid.
I was just going to say, Eamonn, I mean, most people avoid that.
About 7 degrees.
Sleep goes out the window as well,
Energy.
doesn't it? It's so
But
sticky.
you'll like this bit. The best bit about this survey, Isabel, is that men are slightly happier with the heat, 55%, than women, 47%. Did they actually interview any women in this?
Women love the heat.
Women love the heat. Who is responsible for opening windows in the winter, turning up the air conditioning? Men. Thank you very
100%.
I
much.
tell you, I was reading yesterday that in Spain,
Yes,
really cut back big time on air conditioning. When you think about it, again, it adds to climate change. There's a lot of energy and it blows out all that hot air. It's cooling your house, but the energy that it takes to fire up air-conditioned units, and they're regarded as not environmentally friendly, so you can't even use aircon.
Well, this is all to do with cutting down energy use in the wake of the Russian war, but they're saying they're capping the temperature on aircon units at 27 degrees.
Fine by me.
27 on...
What are you talking about?
Any-
That's heat.
Yes, so you can't have it any colder because, of course, the amount of energy that's
fine,
using.
27 degrees.
And
ridiculous.
heating in winter, they're not allowed anything higher than 19 degrees Celsius. So Spain's been really strict, but there's been big arguments and lots of backlash about it, and of course making it unpleasant for tourists, which is obviously harmful as well.
I'm on the beach. On the other hand, in Spain, they're also letting men take their ties off in the office if it's too hot. So boys,
You're going to have to, 27 degrees.
boys, you can sit here.
I do
casual.
admire people who live in continental Europe and it's very hot and they still dress, and they dress very, very well.
So crisp.
They cope with it.
Shops in hotels and things like that, you know, all very good, very interesting, and in banks, whatever. Dawn, David, thank you very much. If you see the guys again in 40 minutes' time.